Jarrett, Gelin, Esquire. She serves as General Counsel and Vice President of Compliance for Gelin Benefits Group, LLC. She is the founder of the Broward County. Hold tight, Brian. You coming out? Shaheewa is also the founder of the Broward County Black Chamber of Commerce, which was established in 2017. To date, the organization has over 400 members and focuses primarily on access to capital, advocacy, and connecting Black-owned businesses to opportunities. Shaheewa is also the founder of the Florida Association of Black Chambers of Commerce, and she has been recognized for her phenomenal leadership, receiving the Success South Florida 40 Under 40 Awards and recognition by Legacy Magazine as most influential Black business leader. Lastly, I am very fortunate and proud to directly benefit from Shaheewa's insight and input in her role as chair of the district's Small Business Advisory Committee. Please help me welcome to the stage Ms. Shaheewa Jarrett Gelin. Gelin. I practiced that, Shaheewa. Thank you so much. Yes.
Good evening, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here. And I want you all to know that you are in the right place. You are in the right place, and I'm so thankful to be the moderator for this last panel. And I'm very grateful that the school board is putting on this program through EDDC because it's much needed. You have to reach out to the community, invite folks in, let them know what's available, and ensure that we're using local businesses. And so this is extremely important, and I'm proud to be here and a part of this programming. So without further ado, I'm just gonna introduce our panelists for the evening. This is a portion of the program where you kind of get the nitty-gritty, right? You're gonna get to hear from the primes, you're gonna get to hear from some of the businesses that actually have experience attempting to get contracts and getting contracts. So this is something that you can really learn from as new businesses, new certified companies. So first, I'd like to introduce Mr. Jamie Armstrong of Pirtle Construction Company. Come on up, Jamie. Thank you. I'd also like to invite up next, the next panelist, Elena Jean-Francois. She's with HJ Construction Group. Next, I'd like to invite up to the stage Betty Piazza of Piazza Marketing LLC. Welcome her to the stage, please. Thank you. And last but not least, I'm going to welcome Brian Farrell to the stage of Phone and Pad Warehouse LLC. Please give them a wonderful round of applause. All right, can you hear me? Okay, great. Let's make sure this thing is on. All right, so we're gonna hop right in and start with prime contractor. Jamie, you're up first. Can you discuss the importance of selecting subcontractors with proven experience and a track record of reliability, focusing on how to vet potential partners to ensure they align with the prime contractor's vision and standards?
There we go. Sorry about that. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, so Pirtle Construction, we are one of the larger builders, I think, for the school board of Broward County. I think we have 6 schools right now in various stages of construction. So the partnerships that we develop, to that question, is it is about developing strong partnerships. Our goal is to make the school board of Broward County look good, to make the project go well, to be successful, and to select subcontractors that support that vision for us. So in that vein, subcontractors come for us in all shapes and sizes. In this particular case, we're talking primarily about Broward County. And so the geography is relevant, but small contractors, large contractors, people that are suited to certain types of work, of course, electricians. There are specialties within the electrical field, specialties of cleaning, and the vendors that are associated with things that are not traditionally construction. They all fall under our realm. So it's important to us that contractors come to us with a certain level of experience. But I will say also, I know there are many people in here maybe trying to start your own businesses. So I do want to encourage, somebody said it in the previous panel, that don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to take that chance. The experience of it is very necessary for us to succeed. But we also have many partnerships and relationships that are about mentors, a mentor-protege relationship. We understand that that's part of our promise to the school board, is to make sure that that promise is kept, that we're teaching you about, in some cases it's a financial aspect that maybe is a part of that relationship, to make sure that those elements where you don't get paid are avoided in the relationship with us, to make sure that contractually you're fulfilling what the contract means. We have spec books that are this thick when we build a project for a school like this. That's by necessity. They're important, they have meaning, and so learning the value of those to make sure that you do it right the first time, that those things happen the first time. So for us, there is a vetting process at the highest end about making sure that those are, but there are also many mentorship relationships that come into play. As you develop your business, we do our best to make and understand that. So I think that that's the important takeaway for it, is to understand that developing the expertise, having a desire to. Many of you, I assume, are the leaders of your business within this room. The thing that we look for consistently is a leader who is present, reliable, and has the ability to consistently help to lead their team's vision. And sometimes that team is a small team. We understand that. Sometimes it's a much larger team. But those relationships are things that we highly value. Knowing who is in charge of a particular company has a lot of value to us. So I think that.
No, thank you. A quick follow-up, just because a question was asked in the audience earlier. So where do you find most of your subs?
So the development of the new handbook is tremendous for us. We have a lot of relationships. We've been in business for 56 years now, since 1968. So a lot of these are developed for us over time, second and third generation, people that we've done a lot of business with. But every year, all the time, the need to develop and bring new relationships into our world is a part of it. I don't know if it was specifically said, and it's probably known for many of you, when we win a construction project, part of our contractual relationship with School Board of Broward County is that we have requirements to fill small, minority, veteran-owned, different elements of the business world as a part of those contracts. So we are consistently seeking good partners, quality partners. The new book is a great platform for us. We also do a lot of work with, everybody heard Sandy Michael McDonald's name with the OESBD department. We do an awful lot of work with him. I know Sandy pretty well. And we use theirs also as a platform for the generation of those kind of leads to understand who's who. And believe it or not, there are a lot of success stories with that, which are fantastic. The OESBD office specifically, there are people who have experienced such great success that over time they graduate out of that program. We've seen many of those happen, and those are fantastic to happen. But I say that because there are people that come in as the newbies, I guess, and they graduate out. So we're always looking to understand who are the newbies in the crowd, and I'm sure there's some of you here today that fit into that category. So
perfect. No, thank you for that. So newbies, make sure you reach out. Okay, so kind of switching gears to Elena. Your question is, how do you see the role of women evolving in the construction industry, and what can be done to encourage more diversity in today's environment?
All right. First of all, I want to say thank you for the opportunity and for such a great panel. In terms of the role of women evolving in the construction industry, I see this. I say as more women enter the industry, remain and succeed, we change the narrative, right? As the industry do the hard work to tackle gender bias, we change the culture, right? And women need to lead in and face the challenges of the industry by changing and foster an inclusive environment. In terms of the construction industry, project management, skilled trade, and technology speak to natural qualities that women bring to the table. And therefore, that will be the involvement and the evolving part of the construction industry as more women take space in the industry. Now, let's pick numbers with diversity. In the construction industry, we have 10.8% of women. Women speak to half of the population. In terms of that, the construction industry is short 500,000 workers. So just looking at the percentage of women in construction, the shortages, if we were just to increase, we will solve the issue. Now, diversity has become lately a bad word, right? But the reality of it is there's no diversity without equity and inclusion. Everyone forget the E part in DEI, right? There's a huge difference between equity and equality. In order to have great diversity, which actually has proven to provide more perspective and actually bring more profit, right? We have to talk about equity. Equity is meaning, from dictionary, is actually fairness. In order for you to bring equal opportunity, you have to be fair. And that's what, when we're talking about diversity in the construction industry, which is not a very diverse industry, to be honest and real, that we need to make the effort, we need to do the hard work and recognize that we need to open the industry, be more inclusive, offer the training and the mentorship required to be successful in the industry. Some of the structural factors impacting the construction industry is retirement. 1 in 5 construction workers are 55 or older, and they have the experience. The other part of it is the cultural factor. Our young people are not interested in construction because the visibility that they have is the fact that we only speak to the workers out in the field. Well, construction is one of the oldest as in terms of like workforce. But the young people don't know that we touch every services from the technology, virtual world. Our kids that love gaming, right? Construction is leaning into the virtual world. We're leaning into coordinating our mechanical system through the computer before we can even step out on site. So there's a world for them. There are construction lawyers. There are construction bankers. And all these exposures is not something I think the general public know and attract the young generation in terms of introducing them and keeping them in the industry.
You made some really good points. You know, I think when people think diversity, they think kind of binary, you know, but you really helped define that, especially as the different trades and different opportunities in the construction industry. Thank you for that. We'll be coming back to you. I'm trying to give everybody a chance to keep it, to mix it up. I'm gonna come to you, Betty, with this question. Having worked with medium and large companies with national brand recognition in your career, what advice would you give a business owner on marketing their business in their local market? Because if no one knows you're there, no one can use you. So what advice would you provide?
Is this working? Okay. First, get a microphone that works. So I think I'm looking at a lot of people who are going to make a lot of money if you follow this process. I was one of those people who was contacted because of that list by a large company. And it has really changed my life, my family's life, and I've had the opportunity because I have one employee. I am a very small business. My kids are 10 and 11 years old and they play travel sports, so I have no life. So I basically work as much as I can and mom as much as I can. When they're a little older, I will jump in a lot more because there's so much opportunity through this program. And although I only have one employee, I have a whole team of people behind me through Broward schools who walked me through the process of being certified, got me on that list, had my just a real small tidbit of what I do. I market wellness and insurance. And from there, I have had gigantic companies reach out to me. So you really, my biggest, don't take your time getting certified. I'll just say that. Go through the process, use all the resources that are given to you. I don't know if Lavina's here, Freeman, but I blew her up. This poor woman, she was like, hey, Betty, it's you again. Between her and Charles High for years, I mean, they have walked me through all the certification, but I feel like I have a team of people behind me that almost market for me. So the main thing is experience, making sure that you can highlight a few different just opportunities that you have had outside of this kind of opportunity. But then once you start working with the school district or once you start working with one of the Broward entities or, like if you wanted to work with Aviation or the ports, whoever it is that you're going to be working with, now you have that story and just market yourself. Just tell the story. Because this is not, I was a little bit deer in the headlights when this came to me, and it sounded a lot scarier than it actually is, but it's very compliant. It's very, it's a lot of T's to cross and I's to dots, but once you get through that, like I said, you do have a team of people behind you that are almost marketing for you without doing anything.
So with regard to the, marketing yourself part, so what do you suggest? When this large company said, hey, Betty, we want to work with you, did you have your, digital brochures together? Did you have, a statement that kind of lined up all of your services, your experience, all of your certifications, your NACENS code, et cetera? What did you have that was ready to go?
So I'm a talker. I'm not so much of I won't have a big slide presentation for you, but I went through real life situations that I was doing at that moment. One of the vendors that reached out to me, I am currently working with, this is my 9th year. We've been through 2 RFPs together, 5-year contract, 3-year contracts with 2 1-year renewals. And through that process, I have stories to tell other large entities and brokers that reach out to me. So it's really, it's not so much of, just be you, just be real. Make sure your certifications are up to date, and also make sure that if you are reciprocal or not reciprocal with another county or another entity, because that can make or break a deal. So you really have to keep up on your own certifications and licenses, and do not start something you cannot finish, because that will destroy you. So make sure you know what the scope of work is, you know what it is that's needed, and if you truly can bring that to that opportunity, to that project, then market yourself accordingly. If you are trying to fit a square peg in a round hole, don't do it. It's a big waste of everybody's time. The RFPs that go out, that we have these opportunities on, we're written in there. I'm a small business enterprise, I'm a woman-owned enterprise, so I'm written in there. So they need me. And I'm written in there because of the procurement team and because of the compliance and because of the opportunity that I was given to be able to do this through Broward schools. And if I went in there and I said I could do X, Y, and Z, I'm not coming to you for construction, and I couldn't deliver, then I just wasted everybody's time. So when you market yourself true. Market you, not what you want to be, and the opportunities will come knocking on your door.
I like that. Good advice. Market who you are, not what you want to be. Because, a lot of times that's good enough. That's good enough. Thank you, Betty. I want to move on to Brian for your first question. What inspired you to start a business in the technology field, and how has your vision evolved?
Well, good evening, everybody. I started by accident, actually. I actually started a school to teach people how to open up their own cell phone repair stores. If you look at my name is really iPhone and iPad Warehouse. All I thought I was going to do was going to fix iPhones. That's all I wanted to do. But as time grew, I understand that I wasn't making enough money. So I started off with a gift from God, a French bulldog, and a plastic table. I started with myself. Now we have 40 plus employees. And all that to say is that if you start at something, that doesn't mean that's where you're going to end. But you have to start. You have to try. You will fail. They will tell you no. They will close the door in your face. There's people already doing what you're doing at the school district because they've been doing business since, 1965, right? But if you put yourself in the right position, you talk to the right people, you explain what you're able to do, you do it well, you will get your opportunity. And I heard a great saying, if you do not jump, your parachute cannot open. Okay? And you gotta have faith in something, right? In God, right? So we were able to, I know you guys don't care about technology, you just wanna know how to make money in the school district. So I'm gonna tell you that. You gotta put in bids, people. You gotta understand the price that other people have. You gotta understand if you're gonna be competitive. You gotta know who the winner is going to be of the bid, right? There's some companies that's gonna win, and there's some companies that's not. And if you're with the people that are not gonna win, you're not gonna be in business. So you need to do your research. You need to do your public records request. You need to understand if you're gonna even be able to play in that field, and then get your understanding your bids and get your numbers correctly, and you have a chance. That's technology.
I love that. Thanks, Brian. He's straightforward, right? We love Brian. I love that. Okay, back to you, Jamie, for your last question here. Discuss how primes and subs can establish and maintain high-quality standards throughout a construction project, ensuring that all work meets or exceeds client expectations.
Yeah, so the quality control process in our business obviously is very important. And for us, it starts with, and it was said in some of the previous speakers, but it is about the quality of your people. It's also about the systems that you implement within your business. For us at the prime contracting level, there are things that we implement to build a school, for example, and those are, again, I talked about specification books, but it is about following those, understanding the importance of those. It's been said here a little bit, understand that rule book, do your best to follow it, and have a plan to follow it, but it is about following that specification book. We do, for example, and these are thoughts, I'm just curious, any other smaller aspiring prime contractors in the audience?
On stage.
Excellent, on the stage. Yes, ma'am. And other subcontractors or likely subcontractor vendors in the audience? Okay. So, from our perspective, we put together usually a quality control manual to build every single project we have. It is specific to that project, the unique nature of that project. It includes things like just those policies and procedures that allow for that project to have a predictable path, to have milestone checkpoints to make sure that we are successful. And as subcontractors, everyone will have a role in that. Those might involve pre-construction meetings. You know, for example, we put a roof on a building, we want to meet with the architect, we want to meet with the building owner, we want to meet with that subcontractor, anybody else who might kind of touch that, so that they can give us opinions about the do's and don'ts perhaps of that particular roof and things that may not have shown up in that submittal package, for example. That's a really broad example, but I believe very much in systems, the quality of trying to implement systems and then putting teams in place that support that quality system. So it is, yeah, from our perspective, I'm not sure that I can say much more. I think it's really just about the quality of those systems. If I can tag on to something else that I think is really relevant and has been said here a little bit, we as the prime contractor have many opportunities. We have those goals for each project that we have. We have many matchmaking opportunities. So again, for people that are really small businesses in the room, you know, I'll give you some examples. An electrician. We often assign an electrical contract on a project that could be anywhere between maybe $1 million and $5 million for that total electrical contract. And I say that knowing that an aspiring young business may not be able to play in that realm just yet. So we try to take packages, pare them down either into smaller, more consumable pieces for small businesses, or create matchmaking opportunities with those people that we know are large electricians to then subcontract those smaller pieces so that they can make sense for people that are in those earlier stages of their business. We have a desire and a need through our relationship, as I've already said, with the school board to do this. So when we talk about the numbers that are there, people have said about making those things happen. You know, I don't know what the current bond referendum numbers are, but, you know, if I have a $30 million school and a 20% goal on that project, you know, you can do the math. The numbers get very large very quickly, and those numbers are there for people in this room to take advantage of. That's not hypothetical. It's not things that somehow get swept under the rug. They're very real things, and people like myself are constantly looking for ways for our team to reach out and find who those people are, whether it is through solicitation, sometimes it's just phone calls. It's events like this. I can tell you some success stories of people that we've been working with now for 5 and 10 years that I met at events just like this. So the opportunities are real.
Well, thank you, Jamie. And how long have you been in the construction industry? I don't know if you told me.
So I've been in the industry here going on 31 years now
Okay.
in South Florida. So
Okay, very nice.
yeah, with Pirtle Construction for 13 of those. But
And
yeah,
what's
so
your position with?
I'm a vice president for Pirtle Construction.
Okay.
So we, you know, my role is basically to, it's client satisfaction and really, if I can say this, kind of cradle to grave, you know, project responsibility. So I see all aspects of it. Part of my teams that I put together are to ensure that good people like you are part of our teams and that we do, you know, and that we bring that excellence all the way to the client.
No, thank you for that. And working, just a kind of a tip when you're working with a prime, if you do a good job on a project, obviously we're talking about Broward County specific projects.
Yep.
They can include you, and members of my chamber have been included on other projects.
Absolutely.
Not only in the region or the state, but even out of state. So, you know, it's building that relationship, and you think, oh, it's just Broward County, it's that one opportunity, but it really can lead to a lot more other opportunities out there for your company.
Excellence always wins,
Yeah.
right? That's, you know, that's so strive for excellence. We recognize it. There's no denying it. There's no holding people back from that, and we're always looking for the best partners that we can possibly have.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going to come back to you, Elena. We heard about what it takes from Jamie about establishing high quality standards and perhaps checklists to ensure that you don't forget anything, so you're remembered for your excellence. So I want to come to you, Elena, and talk about your experience in the construction field. Tell us about the 3 reasons why subcontractors fail to sustain success.
My pleasure. Okay. All right, in terms of construction, right, there are 3 pillars, I call them: scope of work, cost, and time. So every general contractor, for as long as I've been in the industry, it's about 27 years, it says, we build your project, which is the scope, on time and on budget, right? So now consider these 3 pillars, because they are gonna be the same 3 reasons why most construction businesses and subcontractor will fail. The first one, your scope of work. You have to know your scope, because that speaks to your performance. So poor performance means losing the next job, liquidated damages, being taken out of business. Cost. In terms of cost, knowing your cost ties into knowing your scope. Now, here's the difference with the construction industry. When we talk about cost, we talk about cash flow. In construction, it's not like the store. You go in, you get your clothes, you pay for it, you walk out the store. In construction, you don't get paid until the work is put in place and recognized. So we build every month, 30 days after the work, after we put our billing in, you get paid. But think about it, the labor and the material used to put that work in place, you've already paid for, because you have to pay your labor and you had to get the material. So right off the bat, if you're not looking at your numbers, right, and looking at your cash flow, you are 60 days out with a contractor or a client that pays on time. That's the major difference with construction accounting that drive most accountant crazy, to be honest. But that is one of the major reasons. If you're not looking at your numbers as a subcontractor and making sure that you have the cash flow to do your work, that's gonna bring your business down. The third item, being on time. Being on time means you are planning the project. You have a schedule. I have met many subcontractors that do not have a 2-week look ahead, which is the minimum basic for a scheduling in terms of a project. You have to schedule, because you have to know when your material is coming in, the lead time on your material, is it available? You have to make sure that your workforce is available at the time the contractor says you need to be on site, because most contractors have a schedule that have milestone, which they call critical path, and if you impact their critical path, you are in trouble and paying for it. So if you don't even have a 2-week look ahead to know that your material is gonna be there when they expect you to be there, that you are going to have the labor there to do the work when they need you to be there, you're not gonna perform your scope. It's gonna cost you money. You're gonna have out of sequence work. You're gonna have productivity issue, which all tie back to your performance. And they will not wanna use you. They will kick you out of the job, and it's termination of contract, and one of the other reasons why subcontractors fail. So in terms of time, you're looking at productivity, but most people are not looking at quality and safety. So in construction, safety is a cost. So when your workers get hurt on the job, your insurance goes up, and some prime look at your insurance rate or safety rate and will not want someone on the job that is not safe. So that's also the cost of your business that is higher than most other people, which doesn't help you in competing in terms of your pricing with other people that are doing the same work. So in order to be successful, you might do your flooring really well, your electricity very well, your glazing really well. But I always tell people focus areas are numbers, because numbers don't lie. So you start with your numbers, you look at your people, you look at your resources in terms of technology. A lot of small businesses, subcontractors are not integrating technology into their system, which costs you time, right? And then you go back to your numbers, your focus area, knowing what work you do, scope, cost and time, performance, right? Cash flow, productivity, and then you go back to your numbers to make sure like you do a great job and get repeated business and increase that cash flow.
Woo, go on, Elena. Let me tell you. Small but mighty. I like that. Very knowledgeable. I saw Brian perking up over there when you say technology integration. He was very impressed. But crowd, are you listening? Scope. Know your scope. Know your cost, because you can't go over budget. And?
Know the time.
All right. On time. Be on time. Okay. So, Betty, I'm going to come back to you with this last question because, you know, our companies want to understand how to be, you know, competitive. So what strategies should sub-consultants use to identify and approach prime vendors looking to subcontract work? How can a business owner effectively communicate their unique strengths and capabilities to stand out in a competitive field?
So I have an annual subscription to 2 sites. They are VendorLink and DemandStar. And I put all of my information in there about my industry and what I would be able to bring to the table if an RFP came up. And I get notifications all the time about different opportunities. It could be with Broward schools. It could be the school district up in Tallahassee. So I see these opportunities coming through all the time. I have gotten quite a few opportunities that way, where I reached out to a large company, explained what we could do together. We have gone through the process on a couple of them, but that's the main way that I go about it, is I just, once a year, I pay for a subscription, I get all this information, and I am getting emails every day about different opportunities that fit into what I do. What was the second part of that?
Right, so once you identify the opportunity, how then do you communicate your unique strengths and capabilities to that company?
So once I see the opportunities come through, again, I need to, because I'm a little methodical, I will read the RFP. I will read as much information in that opportunity as I can read, because if I cannot cross or check every box on it, I'm not doing it. When I know that I can fulfill the needs and I know what the need is, then I bring it up to a larger company, usually an insurance company, to see if this is something that they would want to partner with me on. In that I market myself and tell them what I have already done and what this would look like and what the business opportunity and the bottom line would look like for them, for the entity, and for myself. So it's a lot of transparency, and it's a lot of it's a lot of communication back and forth. And then once the process starts, you have to be hands-on. And I will I don't want to take more time, but just to piggyback on what you were saying. So I'm in business services, not construction. So there are a couple of different things that you have to look at as far as what could go wrong. And I have a quick story, if anybody is in business services. I was contacted by a gigantic broker about 6 years ago, and it was a huge RFP that came out, and they wanted me to partner with them, and I couldn't wait, and it was great. It was amazing, and we got to the finalist meeting, and we lost. All right, so we did our best, we lost. It came up again 3 years later. Here we go, we got it this time. It was like amazing what this proposal looked like. And they wanted 2 small business enterprises, women-owned business. They wanted 2 minorities. So it was me, and there was another woman-owned business. And we were at the finalist table, and it was brought up that her certificate that she thought was reciprocal with Broward schools was not, and nobody knew this. She didn't know this, the broker didn't know this, but Broward schools knew this. So when we were sitting with the procurement team and this was brought up, we lost. We were very sad, but it wasn't by a lot of points. So all of my points on the RFP counted, and we didn't get any for her. And it was devastating. And that's why I am so, you have to make sure all of your licenses, all of your certificates, everything is up to date. Make sure that you are delivering what you say you can deliver, because to go through, I mean, this is legal, compliance, the company's financials. I mean, there is a lot that goes into an RFP, and to get to that finalist table and have something that could have been taken care of before we got there, taken care of, don't let that happen. Definitely don't let that happen. So there are tremendous opportunities. Again, I am seeing a lot of people who are going to make a lot of money if you really work at this and if you get yourself out there. Networking is great. Marketing yourself is great. Experience is fantastic. Once you get that one, and again, you have a whole team of people behind you who will get you there. Once you get that one and you have the different sites that you reach out to and you identify the opportunities that you really can bring value to, it's going to be a home run for you and your families.
All right, thank you, Betty. And to wrap it up, Brian, we know you're straight to the point here. So a lot of folks want to understand how you navigate this process. So navigating the bid process can be intimidating, especially for newbies. What advice would you give them to improve their chances of being awarded a contract in the technology field?
First of all, you need to understand what type of bid that you're dealing with. Are you dealing with the ITB, which is my price against your price, $1, $1.50, $1 wins? Or are you dealing with the RFP that is accumulation of your experience, your history, the references, and your price? At the end of the day, it's all about price. I don't care if you have the best RFP, but if your price is 5 times more, you're not going to get the work. So you need to understand what the price is of the winning person that is doing the work that you're going to do. So also you can do a public records request. I keep on throwing that out there, but that's very important to find out, are they buying this pencil for $1? Or who get the RFP from the winning vendor to understand what they put in that bid to be able to win. So get the information in your hand so you were able to have a proper bid to be able to win. Did I do in my time? Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you, Brian. But that's good advice. Obviously, you need to know your competitors. A lot of people go, I don't care about my competitors, but you need to know what they're doing, the pricing. I can't say enough on that public records request. And then in the marketing realm, it's selling yourself. You know, send samples. We include, when we do RFPs for our company, samples of our employee handbooks, other things. So if you have samples, make sure you're including that in your your proposals as well. People want to know what you can do, what it looks like, what it feels like.
And also references. Make sure you have references, because they're going to ask you for 3 to 5 references of what you're trying to do. If you don't have references, you're done. And take pictures. If you do something for the community, take a picture of that. If you do something, if you're doing janitorial, take pictures of what you want to do, because that explains it better than you writing it out.
No, thank you all. Do we have time for questions? Okay, so at this point, we can take some questions from the audience, if you all have any from our wonderful panel here. I call this the real deal panel. You're hearing from primes, you're hearing from people in the battlefield here going after these contracts.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, the panelists, for doing a wonderful job, and certainly Ms. Jarrett. The question is for Betty. What type of insurance you do, and can you dive a little bit more into specificity?
Me? No. Betty. Oh,
Yep.
Betty.
So all types of health insurance, life insurance, wellness benefits, but I have been brought in to help market for PNC, commercial property insurance. Really, it's not that I am writing the business, I'm helping market it and helping more of the boots on the ground to be the person to go between the school district or the aviation center, whoever it is. So it is, I'm licensed as a 215 as health and life, but I have been brought into other opportunities outside of actually selling insurance.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I got a question. How y'all doing? My name is Morgan. I'm the owner of Brighton Clear Soft and Pressure Washing, exterior cleaning. I've been in business for over 6 years. I got a team of guys. We have cleaned over 45 fire stations, 36 water plant utilities, and a few other jobs throughout the state of Florida, from Pahokee to Port St. Lucie. And I wanted to let you know that y'all addressing some good issues. They definitely needed to be addressed. And for Mr. Purdo, I want to tell you that your company actually reaches out. I got my first 3 jobs with Purdo Construction through Joseph, and it worked out well with the Garcia's projects in Palm Beach. So,
Very nice. Go, Jamie. Okay. You got a stamp of approval.
Anybody else? Okay.
I think one more at the front, and then we're done.
Thank you again. Construction question to understand a little bit better. Okay, so part of the things that we do with technology is low voltage. Many of the contracts for low voltage are within the electrical. So when I see the plans, I see the bids, it goes for the electrical. And many of the low voltage are not even taken care of sometimes because they may not know where a sound system is going to go, the camera exactly what's going to go, and things like that. So I see all these projects, where can I fit? Where can I actually get in? To whom I need to talk to? So the first question was low voltage in my area in particular. The other thing is, are these contracts or the contractor general, like the prime construction company, do they take care as well of putting in place, for instance, the cameras, sound system, and so on, is part of the scope of work, or that we need to contact what is called the owner, okay, afterwards, and what's the best thing to do? Because I have all the thing, and we cannot reach. Thank you.
Yeah, very relevant question, and I know exactly what you're saying. For us in a construction project, the majority of time, I'm going to say 80%, we are charged as the CM to install the raceways. We don't often install the technology. You guys are way too smart for us construction guys. We can't keep up with the speed at which technology moves often, you know, so there are times when we'll pull backbone, right? We'll pull just backbone cabling and things like that. And oftentimes we will give raceways and give an infrastructure for an audio-visual system, but a client knows their audio-visual system that they may want to plug into, you know, their master planning or master program or things. But we do have times when we do have those opportunities. So I would suggest, you know, and I'm happy to give you my card today specifically, but again, I don't know, maybe 20, 25% of the time do we have those. It depends on the client. It depends on the technology. We're wary of it because we get caught in not understanding that technology, if I'm being honest. So we try to procure it with a guy like yourself, and I've got 2 or 3 people that are competing for that work. We don't always know what's the best fit for the client. So oftentimes it's taken from our hands for that reason. But there still are opportunities with guys like myself, and I often find that clients, you know, have those established relationships or have 2 or 3 established relationships, and I often see that. So I would say trying to make sure that you're on a list here, but also reaching out to the prime on any given project, you know, through those things like Demand Star. You see those projects coming. I'll say this, you know, Brian talked a little bit about bidding. Oftentimes in our world, when we win a job, we spend time, we'll win a job, and we'll go through what we call a pre-construction process. We win jobs oftentimes for School Board of Broward County, and we'll have a year where the project is being designed. This could be for Broward County. I didn't say it before, but we built, for those of you who heard the port director talking, we built the Disney Cruise Terminal. That's a project I just completed for them recently. Actually, it's about a year ago now. But I forget what I was saying, but the reaching out to and understanding those groups and making sure that you're a part of and on those vendor lists, making sure that you're following things like Demand Star specifically for that, and reaching out. Oh, and I was saying we're construction managers. We spend a year in the pre-construction world. So oftentimes those relationships that we're talking about are developed during that year of pre-construction, where we start to determine what our bidders list looks like, because we understand who's the right fit for that size of job, who's the right fit maybe for that technology necessary on that job. All those things are built. It does culminate, to Brian's point, in a bid, but that bid is given, in this case, to Pirtle Construction. We do our best to vet that out and to try to make those pieces fit for the totality of the project. So they're not quick things. They're not done in a cone of silence, and sometimes we deal with a cone of silence where you don't have an opportunity to talk with people. I want my teams talking to people to try to understand the best fits to make those happen. So there are a lot of different scenarios out there that can happen. Some of them you have to dig through public records requests. We like to think that we're more transparent than that, and we have the opportunity to be. We know why those things happen, but we have those opportunities. So I hope that helps you.
It will be short. Short question, I promise. Again, my name is Sherry Rudolph, and I wanted to ask Jamie about the insurance requirements for Pirtle. I know that sometimes with small businesses, they have a issue with trying to meet the really competitive prices of insurance. And so I wanted to know about that, and how do you accommodate small businesses? I mean, I have a million, but sometimes I know insurance companies contractors require 2 million.
Yeah, so we have our statutory response that we get from our insurance company, of course, in trying to cover those bases as it relates to insurance. And to be specific, it would be a $1 million, $2 million aggregate. Our goal for every subcontractor is a $3 million umbrella policy. Because in most cases you're driving vehicles of some commercial nature onto a site, we look for auto coverage. I think that, in some cases professional liability, but that wouldn't connect to your business necessarily. So, but we do have programs where we do have to understand, again, the nature of small businesses. It's about that matchmaking, understanding the scope of work, the risk involved in it, your ability to be competitive, our desire to get you in the program, all those pieces. So there's flexibility in it, but at some point insurance is insurance, and it's demanding. It does have its limitations.
All right, thank you. We're going to go ahead and wrap up. I want to thank everyone, all the panelists, Brian, Elena, Jamie, and Betty. Please give them a rousing round of applause tonight. Thank you all for being here and being so attentive.
And, of course, we have certificates of appreciation.
All right, are we excited? We're looking forward to the next staging, graduation. We're going to dress up and show up. Okay. As we come to the close of today's Business Excellence program, I want to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who made this event a success. First, a big thank you to Broward County Public Schools Chief Operations and Facilities Officer Wanda Paul, and Executive Director of Operations, Jennifer Andreu. Our incredible panelists, Stephanie Sylvestre, Mark Gale, Joseph Morris, Shaheewa Jarrett Gelin, Jamie Armstrong, Elena Jean Francois, Betty Piazza, and Brian Farrell. Your expertise, insights, and stories have truly inspired us to think bigger, aim higher, and approach excellence with renewed purpose. You've provided valuable perspectives that small businesses can take back to their organizations to drive meaningful change. To our attendees, thank you for your engagement, curiosity, and contributions throughout the evening. Your presence and participation are what make events like this so impactful. I hope you leave today feeling elevated, empowered, connected, and ready to uplift your own journey toward excellence. And of course, none of this would have been possible without the generous support of our sponsors, Broward County Government, the City of Miramar, the City of Pompano Beach, the City of Sunrise, and the City of Tamarack, Bach, Port Everglades, HA Contracting Corp., SGM Films, the Coronado Group, Able Business Services, George A. Gutierrez Architects, LLC, Kelly Education, Lego Construction Company, SAP, GART Solutions, Sign and Notary, AirQuest Environmental Inc., Dudley's Professional Services, Phone and Pad Warehouse, T-Shirt Guy, Complete to Succeed Educational Resources, Southeast SBTRC, Ralph Kinal and Associates PA, Florida State Minority Development Council, Scholastics Power Tutoring and Homeschool Education, FLL Broward County. Thank you. Your partnership and commitment to this program demonstrates your belief in the importance of fostering growth, collaboration, and excellence in our community. We deeply appreciate your contribution to making this event a reality. As we conclude, let us carry the theme, elevate, empower, connect, forward in everything we do. Together we can continue building a culture of excellence and drive success and create lasting impact. Thank you all for being here, and we look forward to seeing you at the graduation ceremony, which will be held right here, December 5th, commencing promptly at 5 p.m. Now let's put some icing on the cake with this week's raffle. We have our raffle tickets ready. All right, we have some practical gifts to take home this week. EDC staff, we're ready. Okay, let's go. All right. So our first item is an HP DeskJet printer, and the winning number is a 6663. Yay, congratulations, 221-6663. Session. My name is Tasha Campbell, and I am delighted to serve as your host this evening. I wear two hats with the Economic Development and Diversity Compliance Department, with a background in and title of Compliance Officer, and also a Concierge Service Manager. My goal is to help build trust and foster a culture of excellence that supports the EDDC's mission and values. In my role as a Concierge Service Manager, I have the privilege of focusing on creating seamless and exceptional experiences for small businesses, our team, community partners, and stakeholders. My goal is to meet your needs, provide resolutions to all your problems, or problem solve, strengthen connections, and drive success. I am actively involved in certification, goal setting, and outreach. Broward County Public Schools' 2024 Business Excellence Program is centered around the inspiring theme, Elevate, Empower, and Connect. This theme reflects our shared mission to grow the economic base of Broward County for the benefit of students and the business community. We strive to reach new heights, foster individual and collective strength, and build meaningful connections that provide opportunities for success. We are all here today as part of our commitment to excellence. and not just in what we achieve, but how we achieve it. To elevate is to set higher standards and aspire to greatness. To empower is to equip and inspire each other to succeed. And to connect is to create lasting partnerships and synergies that will multiply our impact. Together, these three principles will guide your small business towards sustainable growth, resilience, and equity in everything you do. This program was designed to challenge, inspire, and strengthen small businesses. It is an opportunity to learn from each other, develop, and fuel economic growth within the Tri-County. A round of applause for your dedication to growth, to success, to excellence. It is now a privilege to introduce someone who embodies the very essence of our theme. Denise Mincy-Mills, our Director of Economic Development and Diversity Compliance, has been instrumental in championing inclusive growth, fostering economic opportunities, and ensuring compliance with policies that align with the EDDC's value of quality and excellence. With a wealth of expertise and an unwavering commitment to diversity, Denise Mincy-Mills has driven initiatives that not only empower individuals, but also elevate our organization and connect us with the communities and individuals that we serve. Her vision and leadership have been integral to our success and that of small businesses, and we are fortunate to have her guide us in this journey towards business excellence. Please help me in welcoming Denise Mincy-Mills, who will help us kick off today's program. Thank you. Ms. Mills, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Tasha. I appreciate it. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. All right. It is truly my honor and privilege to welcome you to week 6 of the Broward County Public Schools 2024 Business Excellence Program. I need to see y'all. This is the final course of the program, and you made it. Give yourself a hand. Raise your hand if you're graduating December 5th. I love it. I love it. Almost every hand in here is raised. Awesome. That is so awesome. Well, of course, you know by now I'm Denise Mincy-Mills, Director of Economic Development and Diversity Compliance. I am ecstatic to have you here today as we close out this remarkable journey that was carefully curated to drive the growth and success of your business. In today's course, we will be exploring 3 critical areas that have significantly transformed business: AI technology, connecting with local leaders, and partnerships. As we discussed in an earlier session, AI is transforming how businesses operate, and understanding how to use it can help in every aspect of your business. And it goes without saying that connecting with key decision makers can unlock opportunities and open doors to new partnerships. And finally, tonight, you'll be privy to success secrets from top prime and sub-collaborators who will provide you with valuable strategies for overcoming challenges and achieving long-term growth. I encourage you to lock in on these topics to begin to leverage these tools and strategies, and know that our department is here to support you every step of the way as you take your business to the next level. Thank you for being here, and enjoy tonight's outstanding panel of experts. So, as I like to say, let's get this party started. Ladies and gentlemen, I am absolutely elated to introduce today's session moderator. Jennifer Andreu is someone who is near and dear to my heart. And believe me when I say she is an icon and a legend. Just over a year ago, Jennifer was appointed to Broward County Public Schools District Leadership as Executive Director of Operations. She is a highly accomplished transformational leader in education who has risen through the ranks from the classroom to administrative leadership. Prior to joining Broward Schools, Jennifer served as Assistant Superintendent for Miami-Dade County Public Schools, the largest school district in the state. In her current capacity, she oversees not one, not two, but 3 Broward County Public Schools departments, including procurement and warehousing services, the Business Support Center, and my department, Economic Development and Diversity Compliance. Collectively, Jennifer's 3 departments are where the magic happens, where opportunities are created for small businesses to provide goods and services to the district. She is a Broward County native, the daughter of a small business owner, and actually graduated from Plantation High School, the auditorium that you're sitting in right now. I'll tell you another secret about Jennifer. Ms. Andreu is a City of Plantation Council member, Group 3. I haven't seen it, but I'm sure there's a cap and phone booth somewhere with her name on it. Without further ado, please put your hand together for my boss and the Princess of Plantation, Ms. Jennifer Andreu.
Good evening, good evening. Thank you for once again joining us for our Business Excellence Program. You will not be disappointed. We know we started a little earlier this week, so we thank you for getting here on time this week. And we have a great session in store for you. At this time, I'll be back a little later for one of the second panels, but at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Tasha, who's going to introduce our first speaker of the evening.
Thank you. It is my distinct honor to introduce our next speaker, a visionary leader who has made a profound impact across both the private and public sectors. Stephanie Sylvestre is a trailblazer in business innovation, economic empowerment, and operational excellence. As a 2022 Harvard Advanced Leadership Initiative Fellow, Stephanie developed a groundbreaking framework for Black wealth creation in Miami-Dade County, seamlessly integrating economic empowerment and with social emotional wellness. She is a co-founder of Avatar Buddy, LLC, where she leverages generative AI to revolutionize business productivity and engagement, enhancing efficiency and profitability for organizations. Stephanie's leadership has left a lasting mark at the Children's Trust, where she expanded programs, drove operational excellence, and fostered community impact. Her expertise extends to corporate leadership roles at IPC and Burger King, where she optimized supply chains, strengthened IT systems, and improved franchise success. Not only is Stephanie a seasoned business leader, but she's also a dedicated volunteer and a former honorary consul of Belize, demonstrating her commitment to innovation, empowerment, and meaningful change in the communities she serves. Please join me in welcoming Stephanie Sylvestre as she shares her wealth of experience and insights with us today.
Thank you for that great introduction. Good evening, everybody. How are you doing? You guys are snacked and hydrated? Okay. So I have a slide presentation, but I'll tell you that I don't always stick to the script. I try not to believe that I know what you want to hear. So if you have a question or I said something that doesn't make any sense, raise your hand and I will stop, rewind, and make sure that you leave here tonight feeling empowered and ready to implement any kind of generative AI solution into your business. Is that good? Okay. So I've already been introduced. So the purpose of this session is just to give you some foundational knowledge about AI, generative AI in particular, and just kind of like help you feel comfortable with AI. And so like whenever I do these presentations, I like to start with, what's your emotional reaction when you hear AI? Just shout out some. Fantastic. Nobody feels afraid? Yes, ma'am? Afraid and complicated. Yes? Helpful. So we got like a range of emotions here. So hopefully by the end of this evening, we can bring those range to a little bit closer together. And that when we raise our hands, that next week you're going to be talking about how you implemented or started to implement it in your business. Deal? And I don't know, man. Is that like... Okay. So the thing that I like to talk about is generative AI. Like, is a subset of AI in general. So when you think about AI, like, who knows when AI first came into existence? Say again? COVID? 20, 30 years ago? 1 year? I love this. So generative AI has been around for about 75 years. In the 1950s. So about 74, 75 years ago, that's when AI came about. And in the 1960s, a professor created an AI tool called ELIZA. And they shut ELIZA down because the research assistants starting to get like a little bit too comfortable with ELIZA. Okay, so new piece of fact, right? So it's not something new and scary. It's been around for a long time. We've been living with it, right? Okay, so why is this big new splash about generative AI? So in the 80s, they figured out that if they change how the AI thinks and processes, we can make it more readily available. So before they were trying to do computers and so forth, and then somebody said, who happened to win the Nobel Peace Prize this year, said, what if we configure the AI to work like a human brain? So that's where generative AI started. They configured the AI to work like the way a human brain works, right? All these neural networks that's in our brain and so forth. So they started making progress, but then they didn't have enough data to feed it. So the two things you hear about generative AI is that it like looks like it makes up things magically, just like how you like go talk to somebody, you're like, oh my gosh, she makes that up magically. No, they had some kind of previous experience or information. Like if you asked me to talk about brain surgery, this would be like a 2-minute presentation. I'd be done because I don't know much about brain surgery, right? So that's the same way that generative AI works. So in about 2004, 2005, do you guys remember what happened around that time from a technological standpoint? Okay, so 2004, 2005, social media started. Facebook, MySpace, anybody remember MySpace? Okay, so what happened in social media is data people created data. So now you have all this data that you can feed the AI. And as you fed the AI all of this data, created like a little engine. And it's the engine that's really important. But you can't create the data without it's the engine without the data. Yes, sir? Okay. I don't think that they were consciously connecting the two. It was like somebody over here was like, what if we make the computers think the way we think? And then somebody over here was, I'm lonely, what if I create social media? Yes, and then like sometimes what happens in IT, and I don't know for sure what this is, I'm just surmising, the people over here go, I need more data. I need more data. And they're like, what if we go over here to social media? This has lots of data. And that's how it kind of came together. So without social media, we would not probably have Gen AI because we wouldn't have enough data to feed the system to create the framework, right? And so I like to spend a little bit of time like that because I want people to understand that this is not a scary thing. It's actually pretty simple. It's like how your brain works, just digitally. And how does your brain, how do you guys learn, right? You guys are going through this program. What's the steps that you do? You come, you listen to somebody talk to you, right? Right? Yes? No? This is a tough group, man. Yes? Yeah. Say again? You listen to somebody, you take notes, you review your notes, you do your homework. Maybe you talk to some other people to make sure that what they just said is true. Like, anybody fact-checking me right now? I hope you are. I mean, I don't know. I don't remember meeting any of you. Like, you're just going to believe me because I'm standing here? You got to fact-check me. All right? So that's how we learn, and that's how the AI learns. And then if I come and I ask you something about a course that you took, about the course last week, you can tell me about it, right? So that's how the AI is able to tell you stuff. Now, I'm going to talk about 2 more things, and then I'm going to get into the fun part of the presentation. So people say, why does the AI hallucinate? And it's a very simple explanation. So large language model is like, imagine if this course, they said, you have to come here every week for 12 weeks, 6 weeks, and then every week you have to read 11 books. How many people would read 11 books and come here every week? See, no hands. Okay. So then if somebody asks you something about the book, some of the books that you were supposed to read, you would kind of like guess at it and may or may not be right. So that's what happens with large language model. The data is too much, so the AI goes, okay, this is too much for me to go through. This kind of seems like this, so I'm just going to put these 2 things together because it logically makes sense. I mean, have you ever had a 7-year-old explain something to you, and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, how did they put these things together? Kind of like that's what it does, hallucinates. So there's this concept called small language model, which just uses a little bit of data. It's kind of like you come to class, somebody speaks, you take notes, you review your notes, you talk to the other people in the class, and you get the information, and then when somebody asks you about the information, you're pretty much on point, and the answer is, for the most part, accurate. So you're going to start hearing about small language model or RAG in the next few months. And that's just basically what people have realized, that this large language model is too big. So let's bring this bad boy down to something that's manageable. And that's what they're doing. And that's what that does is it helps the AI be accurate. Just very easy to use. And it's just, and some companies, like my company, but there are other companies that do this too, then puts a fence around that data, and it's just your data. So it's secure. It's not going to commingle with anybody else's data over here. It's us all in this secure place, because another thing that people are concerned about with AI is that they will know about us and then use this data wrong. That's a different topic. I'm going to be addressing that on Sunday at the Miami Book Fair. If you guys want to make the drive down at 4 p.m., I'm going to talk to Dr. Joy about how people are using AI to maybe not do as good a thing. But tonight, it's all about feeling good, positive energy. With me? Still with you? Okay. Anybody have any questions about the history of AI? Yes. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. So she's talking about what I call stale data. Sometimes stale data is okay, right? You know, sometimes you can eat a bag of M&Ms from 1995 and it'll still be okay, but you can't eat bread from 1995. That's not going to work, right? So which system is better? We run on top of OpenAI and Anthropic, so we think that those are the better systems. And the reason why I think that those are the better systems is because of the foundation by which they were made. They were made to make people be better, try to help amplify your learning, help amplify your testing, and so forth. Google and Meta, they're made to make money. So it's just a slightly different thing. So I'm not going to say one's better than the other. It's just the reason why they were made, or at least started, are different foundations, so you get different results. Now, how do you address that the data is old? That's where a small language model comes in, because then you can overlay the small language model, and you can also tell ChatGPT, Claude, those are the two that I use when I'm not using my own product, to go to a website and say, pull the latest data from this website. So that, like if you're doing a research and you want to do the census information, if you just say, give me the census information for Plantation, it may or may not go to the most recent one, but if you say, hey, go to the census from 2022, because there's every 10 years a census, but every 2 years there's like a incremental update, then, and you give it the website to go to, it'll go and pull that information. So, yes, sir. OpenAI, ChatGPT. And Anthropic, Claude is from Anthropic. And then you have Llama 3 is from Meta, and then you have Gemini is from Google. Those are like the 4 big large language models. And then you might hear about Perplexity AI, and that's like a search engine and AI combined together. So think about like having Google search plus ChatGPT all together in one.
Hi. Not really so much a question as, don't forget, Copilot.
Yes, oh, Copilot, yes.
Which is part of Microsoft. If you
yes.
have Teams, then Copilot comes with it. But the other thing that I wanted to add is when using AI, and I use AI quite a bit in what I do, but in using AI, I think the question I have is the AI of it, when you get the responses in and they're very sort of mechanized and not always accurate, and knowing sometimes what prompts to give it, how do you propose, at least in using it, the best way to kind of manage using it? Does that make sense?
Yes. So what I heard you say was that the response is kind of like cold and mechanical, and it doesn't really sound like you. And then, so it's like, okay, but then I still have to. So that's where prompt engineering comes in. And you can configure the AI to respond like you. You describe your personality, and the AI will then always respond like you. And this is right where, when I start talking prompt engineering, where I usually lose the room. So I'm not going to go into details about it. But just to say that there are companies out there, like my company, that will do prompt engineering for you, so you don't have to worry about it. It's kind of like, you drive the car, and back in the day, you used to have to remember to put oil in the car and change the oil and change the filter, but now you just drive the car to the dealer or whatever, and they fix the car, and you don't have to worry about that, right? So, yes. Sure. So prompt engineering, in a very, very simple sense, is telling the AI how to behave when it brings back the data. So behave like a chief financial officer, so it will write and respond the way a chief financial officer would respond. Behave like a marketing person, it'll respond and write like a marketing person. I have two fun things that I like to do is, I configured it to do spoken word. So like, if I say or do something wrong, I just go, hey, this is the situation, can you write a poem for me? And it does a spoken word poem, and I send it off to whoever I have offended. And usually that gets me back in their good graces very quickly. So you can configure it to do different things. Yes, sir.
Or with the CRM, how do you go about integrating it together?
I think we're going to cover that, but if we don't, remind me at the back end to come back to that. Because we're starting to get a little bit too technical, and I really want to make sure that the presentation is for everybody in the room. And I really want people to leave thinking, I can do this. If people can leave the room saying, I can do this, then my drive has been worth it. Okay. So why use AI in your business? You're a small business owner. You have maybe 1, 2, maybe 5 employees. Why use AI in your business? And I say that AI can take a highly engaged FTE and transform it into an FTE that produces at 1.25 or 1.5 FTE. FTE is a full-time employee. So you're basically multiplying the person without having to pay extra for any more work, because they can do their work faster. The quality of the work is usually better, because let's say you have a rock star employee whose English is not their first language, or you have a rock star employee that doesn't write well. I don't write well. I can talk all day long, but I do not write well. So now the AI writes my stuff for me. I don't have to spend time doing that. Or worse yet, when people don't do a task really well, what do? They avoid the task. So you're like, hey, what happened to that report? And then it's like, then you're having to stand there and do that listen to that song and dance. But with AI, they're comfortable because the AI is helping them write the report. They're able to move forward and not avoid the task. So we're seeing, not just us, but we're seeing across the board the improvement in productivity, in quality. And the one thing that most people don't think about when they think about AI is that the AI helps your employees feel better about themselves. And why do you care if your employees feel better about themselves? Because if they feel good about themselves, they will bring their A game. And if they bring their A game, that means they're going to be more productive. And if they're more productive, that means you're more profitable. Exactly. So we're finding that the AI is actually helping people feel better about themselves. And that's helping them take initiative, want to come to work, and be more productive. So that's why you want to care about that. Some use cases of how to use AI. So I'm going to talk about how I use it in my company. So even though I'm an AI company, I configure, we call our prompt engineering solution buddies because I just think it's cool. So we created a marketing buddy, we created a social media buddy, we created a CFO buddy, and we created a digital twin of a retired CEO. And so when I need to write some marketing, like if I want to do a marketing strategy, I ask the AI, like, here's my business description, write a marketing strategy for me, and it wrote a marketing strategy for me. Then I took that marketing strategy and I configured it a little bit, played with it a little bit, and then I gave it to my web developer and they updated my website for it. Then I needed a go-to-market plan. And I said, I need a 60-day go-to-market plan. And it spit out this go-to-market plan for me. And I was like, okay, I don't know how to do this. So then I went and I started shopping around for marketing people to help me with a go-to-market plan. And because of the AI had told me what a go-to-market plan looks like, when people were giving me proposals and so forth, I knew what to look for on the proposal, so I knew that whoever I selected would actually be able to do what I wanted. So anybody ever try to buy services and you're like, I have no idea what these people do? And well, if you ask the AI to explain to you that, then what ends up happening is that you might not be able to do it, but now you have some frame of reference. And that goes a long way because as small business owners, I know that as a small business owner, people like to come to me and think that I don't know what I'm doing and try to cheat me. And if I don't have a frame of reference, I could get taken for precious little pennies that I could use for something else. So not a reason why you could use the AI to just kind of help you understand something that maybe you wouldn't otherwise understand. You might not have anybody that's in your network that knows that particular field. Now you have the AI to help you with that. So because we're doing audience participation, this is a time where who has a case study of how they've used generative AI in their business? Go ahead. So we got 1, 2, and I think I saw a hand over here, 3, 4. Okay.
Hello again.
Hi.
So I just actually today finished a presentation for small business owners. And what I wanted to do prior to the presentation is do a poll. So I went on to my friend Claude and asked Claude how I can best integrate this survey, this assessment prior to the presentation and how I can integrate it as part of the presentation itself. I uploaded my presentation, and Claude was very nice and wrote out code for me that I could actually insert into the presentation itself. And then I actually went back and forth and asked it how to make the questions more complex, because I thought that the answer decision tree was too simple. So it gave me more complex choices for my decision tree, for my presentation, and I have a very robust assessment that I can actually give during my presentation with a QR code that it also generated for me. And I'm actually able to adjust my presentation as I go based on the responses that I get.
Awesome. So how long did that take you?
It took me a lot longer to do the presentation because I did it myself, but the part that Claude did for me was maybe 15 minutes.
Okay, so that's another. The reason why I'm asking her how long it took is because if you don't know how to do something, that's hours down the rabbit hole. The AI saves you from going down the rabbit hole. Of course, if you want to go down the rabbit hole to go visit Alice, that's okay, but I think that you have other things to do with your time. So we had this gentleman over here, then we had this young lady over here, and another young lady over there. Young man.
Thank you. My AI integration experience is very similar to yours. What I'm doing right now is I'm actually training an AI model, they even named it, to basically act as a customer support specialist for my business, which is in computer repair, optimization and such. So what I've done with it was I've given it my business model, and I told it to create a QR code that customers can use when they use the QR code on their phone, and it will prompt them to click on a link to go to the website, and then based on the business model and all the products and the services that we order or that we provide, it would answer accordingly based on that. I've had to actually go back a few times and train it to create the QR code specific to what I wanted. So that's where all that prompting comes into place. And it's even basically directed me to start building the website, looking for domains and such. So it's an ongoing process, and just as my business grows, so will the AI.
Awesome. That's a great example. Anybody have a non-technical example? Your example is non-technical? Yes, this is young lady over here. I think there's also one in the back in the white. Yes. We got 5 more minutes? Whoa. That went fast. I haven't even got, let me see if I, okay. Go ahead. It's one way to get through the presentation.
Testing, testing.
Oh, perfect. I spent many hours on my own trying to do it, and then it just occurred to me, why am I not using AI? So I pretty much put in the prompts that I wanted. It generated a business plan. It identified the target market, helped me put together a budget. Then I just kept going further and further with it, like, okay, so help me create a social media plan. Who should I target? What should the content look like? And then try different things with it just to get its response.
Awesome, yeah. So we have one more over here while you're walking over there. What I have done is I created a social media buddy, and it tells me how to create TikTok videos. It gives me the script, what I need to do, and now I can create TikTok videos that all the way in the back. It's all the way in the back, yes. Create TikTok videos for me. So yeah, definitely good examples. I'm hoping that you're starting to see that it's really not that scary, and go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. So I have a small ice cream company. I've used AI. I was introduced actually to AI by another small business group that I'm in, and also through my kids. They're learning that in their business marketing class, and so I was introduced to AI. I've used AI thus far to post, like I've created social media posts when I'm doing like different events with the ice cream, for the ice cream company, and also to create presentation. And it saved me a whole lot of time. Like when if I were to do the whole presentation myself, it probably would take me maybe 45 minutes to an hour just to put together the slide and trying to word everything properly. But if I just type it through AI, it just gives me everything within a matter of like, I don't know, a couple of minutes or something.
Yeah, yes, that's great. And I would say, just kind of like, when you're thinking about this, right, so we've already established that it's not scary, right? We've established it's not scary. We've been living with it for at least 75 years. So for most of you in the audience, that means before you were born, we've been living with it. We've acknowledged that there are different ways to use it, right? So how do you guys think you can use it going back? Like tomorrow, this evening, you're hyped. Maybe you're not hyped from my presentation, but you do some fact checking and you find this amazing article and it gets you hyped. What are you going to do with it?
Ask AI to fact check it and to see if the details are up to date and to break it down into concise pieces that you can understand.
Yes. Yeah. So the other really cool thing that AI does, right, is I had this really, really technical article. And I was just like, read it. I'm like, I don't understand this. So I said to the AI, I gave the article to the AI and I said, can you explain this like if I'm a 6th grader? And then I was like, so explain it like a 6th grader. And I was like, this is still too technical. So explain it like if I'm 5 years old. And then it was like just very simple explanation. It was great. So I would say encourage you to think about it. Think something small. Like if you're like, oh my God, like where do I start? There's like, this is overwhelming. Start with social media. You write social media posts. Why don't you ask it to write some social media posts for you? And then see how your social media posts looks and interacts post doing that. I know that my posts are getting more engagement by using the AI to help me with it. And you can tell the AI, hey, I want you to be like a social media influencer that has 2 million followers, and I want you to write a post that will do the same thing. And then you say what your business is about and what is it that you want to say in your posts. So can we all agree like everybody's going to go try to write some social media posts? This is non-threatening, right? It's fun. And then after that, we're going to work our way up to a business plan, revise our business plan if we already have it. We're okay with that? We got some agreements, right? Like everybody's hearing, we're keeping everybody accountable. I know next week's graduation, but still, we're, yeah, yes. Oh, sorry, one more question and I'm done.
Is it open? Okay. Yes, my name is Sherry Rudolph, and I own a company called Legally Clean. We clean corners so you don't have to. And my question is, what would be the best way to learn AI, I guess the technical part? I use ChatGPT. I'm pretty fluent with ChatGPT in terms of it, but you brought a whole new layer in terms of helping me to understand that I can use it for social media posts and creating social media posts without, having to spend hours trying to develop those kinds of things. But I'm really interested in AI and learning, many of the things that it can do that I'm not familiar with. And where would you suggest that I gain that information?
So I would say that, first of all, talk to the AI like you would talk to another person. You will get the best results from there. And if you want to learn about AI, ask the AI. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but ask the AI whatever it is that you want to learn about the AI. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Sorry I was a little bit over time. Thank you.
Please don't leave. What an awesome presentation. Let's give her another round. So on behalf of EDDC, we have a certificate of appreciation that we would like to present to you, and thank you for your time and your talents. We'll go to the center of the stage so we can get this wonderful picture. And now we're ready for our next session, Ms. Jennifer Andreu.
So I have the distinct honor and privilege of introducing our wonderful panel. And the first person to join our panel is my remarkable boss. She is a visionary. Her name is Miss Wanda Paul, and she is Broward County Public Schools Chief Operations and Facilities Officer. She brings unparalleled experience and dedication to her role of overseeing some of the most vital and complex operations within our district. Food and nutrition, to name one, also transportation, of course, our department with procurement warehouse services, construction and facilities. She is doing it all. Ms. Paul is at the helm of ensuring these foundational services not only run smoothly, but continuously evolve and improve to meet the needs of our students and families. With a fleet of over 1,000 buses and meals reaching over 2,000 students daily, Ms. Paul ensures that every operation is executed with precision and care to foster our student success. She's making significant strides to complete the Smart Bond program, beginning with our new facilities assessment. Not only is Ms. Paul a veteran business operations leader, she's also a military veteran. And you know we recently celebrated Veterans Day, but I believe every day we should honor and recognize those who have served. So Ms. Paul, we all thank you for your service. Please welcome my boss, Ms. Wanda Paul. Now, by a show of hands, how many of you have flown out of Fort Lauderdale Airport, FLL? Pretty much everybody, right? So, if you've taken a cruise departing out of Port Everglades, yes? A few hands? Not too many cruisers, more flyers. Okay, well, get ready because we have someone here who is going to tell you all about travel by air and sea, and we know we're approaching the busiest travel time of the year next week for Thanksgiving holidays. So, before you go have your turkey and dressing with your family, we are elated to engage you with two people who actually lead the Broward County Aviation Department and Port Everglades, respectively. Mark Gale has served as CEO and Director of Aviation for the Broward County Aviation Department since March of 2016. In this role, he oversees Fort Lauderdale-Hollywood International Airport at the North Perry Airport. Mark leads all strategic planning, capital improvement programs, operational efficiency, and guest experience initiatives. Please welcome Mark Gale. I'm also happy to introduce you to Joseph Morris. Joseph Morris is the new port director for Port Everglades. Since his appointment in July of this year, he has overseen the port's diverse operations, including cruise cargo, energy, and real estate, while spearheading $3 billion in expansion programs to enhance capacity and modernize facilities. At the end of the day, Mark and Joseph help to ensure that we all are able to execute our travel plans safely and smoothly. At this time, will you please welcome Joseph Morris. Everyone has one. That's what I said. So you have your own. So I'm going to ask each of you a few questions, and then at the end, we'll also be able to allow for the audience to ask any questions that you might have for the panelists. So Mark, we're going to start with you. Can you share some key trends currently shaping the aviation industry and what implications these trends have for businesses looking to engage or adapt to this evolving landscape?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. Good evening, everybody. I just want to make sure there were more hands that went up for those that actually flew through the airport than went through the cruise. I'll take that as a yes. Commissioner, that was a yes, right? Okay, thank you. Thanks for the question. I just want to come back to our wonderful speaker that was on before us. I got a little bit nervous when we talked tonight about AI and we talk about digital twins. I heard Stephanie say that they created a digital twin of a CEO, and I got a little nervous. You know, job security is on the line here. Trends. You know, all of you are, I think, paying attention to the news. As we've come out of the pandemic, we're focused in on air travel, resuming, getting back to what it was pre-pandemic. The local hometown airline, if you will, Spirit Airlines, just recently announced that they were in bankruptcy in Chapter 11. We firmly believe that they are going to go through the proper restructuring and reemerge sometime in the first quarter of 2025. At least that's the plan has been put forth to us. We hope that that's true. We want that to be true. They're not only a large employer and their largest airline at FLL, but we have great plans for our airport to continue to grow, to expand, to continue to provide opportunity for all of our local businesses here. And there's a lot of work that's going to be coming. We focus a lot, I always say that FLL has been an airport in transformation over the course of the last decade. There was a $1 billion runway that was constructed and opened up. We were just chatting about it backstage there. It's been open now for 10 years. Hard to believe that it's been open for 10 years. We're celebrating the 10th anniversary. That provided a catalyst moment for our airport to take a different direction, to be an airport, not just an alternative to one that's located 22 miles to our south, but to be an airport of choice. An airport of choice for Broward County, an airport of choice for Greater Fort Lauderdale, airport choice for South Florida. And we think that we're doing that. And there have been literally billions and billions of dollars invested into our facility over the course of the last 10 years. The guest experience is something that is at the top of our list in terms of what we want to be able to provide to the traveling public. I get a lot of folks that call me and say, it's so much easier to get in and out of FLL than it is MIA. We just want to keep on coming to FLL. But it's getting harder because we're so busy. We'll handle over 35 million passengers through our facility this year, and some of our roadways and our structure wasn't really designed to handle that level of traffic coming through. So we're in the process of engaging in a number of different projects to make that a little easier for all of you, easier for us, easier to manage, and give us the opportunity to grow. We'll soon see some roadway projects pushing out the door that will make it easier to flow around the airport. We have terminal construction projects that have already launched, and shovels will be going to dirt in January for the next $230 million program to connect our terminals behind security. And there's a multi-billion-dollar program in the offing right now. Our master plan was approved a few years ago. slowed it down due to the pandemic, but we're ready now to speed it back up again in order to make some really drastic changes to the airport over the course of the next 5, 10, 15 years. The forecast for your airport is not the 35 million that we would see this year, but by the year 2035, just 10 years from now, we expect to see over 50 million people using FLO. Those numbers will only materialize if we put the infrastructure in place to handle it. The only way we're going to put that infrastructure in place successfully is through a combination of large and small businesses. Local businesses make the difference here. And I know all of you are engaged in that process. You have to know about what's out there. You have to know that it's coming. You have to get prepared to be able to work on projects and partner and team with others to make it happen. But we're pleased that we're moving in the right direction with our airline community so that we can put that wonderful economic engine that's powering along to even better use as we go forward.
Thank you. Joseph, tell us about the strategies you would recommend for businesses to effectively leverage Port Everglades services to expand their reach and improve the efficiency of importing and exporting goods.
Thank you for that, and good evening, everybody, and hello to my commissioner. The port, we've just announced that we've had sort of a banner year, a record in some categories. We've got 3 very diverse business lines that make up the core of what we do, what we provide at the port. So I think that there's 2 that one may be fun and one's very practical, and the last is very, I think, important for what you folks are trying to do as you look to grow or establish your business. So I'll start with the fun one, cruise. I'm sure that more people have taken flights than have taken cruises. That's true even for myself in my short time that I've been here. But don't forget, a lot of great itineraries sailing out of Port Everglades. The second one is the energy sector that we have at the port. And that is providing all the fuel to South Florida. Every gas station you go to in the region, that fuel is coming through Port Everglades. All the fuel for Mark's airline customers, all coming through Port Everglades. So about 1,400 trucks a day exit the facility full of fuel to go out to the various locations throughout South Florida. And now the one that you probably are all most interested in is our cargo sector. So we have multiple operators of varying sizes and varying scope that connects Port Everglades and our region to the world. We are directly connected with more than 70 countries and 150 ports. And depending on if you're importing manufactured goods or if you're looking to source elsewhere, I think that's one of the significant trends that that the shipping and the manufacturing industry have seen is, going into some new markets, non-traditional manufacturing markets, and making sure, of course, that we are connected to those markets for local businesses. That's something that we work with the shipping lines. Earlier today, I spoke with Florida Customs Brokers group and talked about how imperative it is that they keep Port Everglades on the map as they look to work with their clients, which could be some of you, to bring their goods into the port, and then furtherance on. A fun fact that I think shows the local impact that our port has, I should say your port, is that 80% of the goods that come through Port Everglades are delivered within 80 miles of the port. And that's a significant impact that we know for local businesses. So I think a way to leverage all of that for you folks is to make sure your manufacturer is, of course, connected with one of our services that calls Port Everglades, but use the customs brokers and freight forwarding community. I'll be happy to connect anybody with that, with some folks there in that group that can help you move your goods smarter and, of course, cost efficiently.
Excellent. I know that everybody's going to want to get all of your contact information when we are finished with this session. Ms. Paul, what are some key initiatives in operations and facilities currently pursuing to support, that you might be currently pursuing to support small businesses, and how can these businesses position themselves to align to your department's priorities?
So, didn't have that one. In full transparency, I have something that I must confess to the audience. I thank y'all for being here, but I feel like I must come clean on this one. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. So, I'm taking a year off. Okay, so everybody's speaking the truth now, okay. But thank y'all for coming here. This is amazing that y'all are participating in this program. Initiatives right now is the elephant in the room, the $800 million bond that we are closing out. We have done, under this bond program, a lot of great things for kids. I've been here a total of 6 months in Fort Lauderdale, but I do have experience with bonds from Houston, Dallas, Palm Beach, and so I've been around a little bit. The reality is that no bond program is successful unless we have small businesses. And one of the things that I think is really imperative and on us is to create capacity. We will have another bond, and so we need all of you to be able to compete for that work. Our fundamental responsibility is to educate kids, educate our children, and we can't do that unless they're in clean, safe schools. And so we have aged schools, and even though $800 million sounds like a lot of money, over the 10-year period, it's really not. So one of the things that we are working on is closing out this bond with fidelity, making sure that we honor the promises we made to the communities, and making sure that as we move to the next bond, when that happens, that we make it an environment where small businesses can thrive. What we do oftentimes is, in our bureaucratic system, we have so many layers, like an onion, that you have to peel back to figure out how to do business with the district. Ms. Missy Mills has come from Miami to help us build some systems to make it easier to do business, but fundamentally, it's, the construction, piece of it, how we make the sausage, in other words, how we put together the packages so that small business can compete, how we pay y'all, going through a GC and having to wait for your money. In many cases, you have to pay your workers too, and pay yourself. And so we're working on how to uncomplicate that process. I have about 40 pages of acronyms that my team uses that, I feel like I need a Ouija board some days. And so we have to uncomplicate the process, because the worst thing that we can do for small businesses is award a contract to you, and it takes 3 years for you to put it together to do the work. It takes forever for us to pay you. And in that process, you're losing good people because you can't afford to keep them. So we have to do, as a school district, and having 239 schools, we have to do a better job. And that's why I'm here in sunny South Florida, to help the school district and help Dr. Hepburn realize that vision. Because we will not have a successful bond unless you are part of it. And that's the reality, and that's what I've learned in Houston, Dallas, Palm Beach, down the street, and it's speed to market. We can't do a bond over 10 years. So what I see for the future is that we're going to need good contractors, great subs, electrical. If you're in the fire alarm business, we need you now. So that's a niche. That's a niche that we need more vendors, more contractors to fill. And so I want to talk to you afterwards. But yeah, we have a lot of needs. We have a huge system. You know, basically a school district this size is like running a city. And all of the applicable things that you need to run a city, we need as a school district. And so we have an aging workforce internally. And we have people that have 30 plus years working for the school district, very dedicated employees. But at some point they have to go home and live the rest of their lives. And so we need a bench to call on to help us navigate all these demands. More importantly, we need to improve our infrastructure of our schools, preventive maintenance program. And I don't mean to geek out, but this is really cool stuff. Because if we do it right, then our buildings will be there for 50, 60, 70 years. And our kids will learn for that amount of time, right? And we'll have this constant success rate, graduation rate, and hopefully the kids can you know, go to college, join the Army, learn a skill, because that's where really what we must focus on going forward. Our superintendent, Dr. Howard Hepburn, is committed to this. He's built a really good team, a really great team, to make sure that the vision is carried out. And quite honestly, we owe it to our children. And so we have a heavy lift closing out this bond and moving to the next one. And most importantly, we have to win the trust of our community and of our vendors and of our contractors, because we're gonna need everyone at the table as we move this district forward.
Thank you, Ms. Paul. How many of you have children here in Broward County Public Schools, or you yourself are alumni of Broward County Public Schools? All right. That's why we have hashtag what? Oh, you're so low. Hashtag? Okay, you're not saying it like you mean it, but I'll come back to you. Mark, question for you. How do airport operations contribute to driving both local and international business growth? And what opportunities exist for businesses to integrate with these operations to maximize their economic impact?
Can you hear me now? There you go. So not everybody really understands just how powerful your airport is. From an international perspective, we're the 12th busiest international airport in the country. We surpass a lot of the major airports all across the United States in terms of how much traffic we put through. 7.6 million passengers traveled internationally through FLL last year. We're connected to a lot of different places, largely into Canada, South America, Latin America, working to get connections back over to Europe that we had once before and lost. You know, it's a challenge with what we have with that other airport, you know, down the road. We did our economic impact study a few years ago. It was determined that our airport is one of the largest, if not the largest, economic engine in all of Broward, at that time estimated to have a $37.5 billion annual economic impact on our region. There's a little over 16,000 people that work at the airport every single day. And it is much like a city, as one has said, for us as well. But when you run it out through the economic models, over 250,000 individuals derive their livelihoods from the operation at the airport. So we have a role to play with respect to the region and how we operate, you know, our business. We are connecting families and businesses domestically and internationally. When you were talking about the bonding capacity and the things that are going on in your world and in the school district, much like in Joe and my world over at the airport, I don't know if anybody from the county's Office of Small Business and Economic Development is, probably Sister to the school district's one. But the director, many of you may already know, Sandy Michael McDonald, and his team, we work hand in hand on virtually every project that we have at the airport. We have 3 different disadvantaged programs. Airports are a little bit unique, and since we not only have a local component in CBE, but we have a federal component in DB because we accept a lot of federal dollars. We just accepted $50 million for one project at the airport, our Terminal Connector project, and we just took another $16 million to do a passenger boarding bridge project. So we get a lot of federal money. Every time we get that, we need to make sure we follow the federal DB programs. But concessions at the airport operate a little bit differently. They have their own DBE program. Are there any AC DBEs that are in the room tonight? We have 1, 2, 3. Good, we need to get more. When I talk about partnerships, I talk about collaboration, I talk about opportunity. Yes, the county owns and operates FLL. The county owns and operates Port Everglades. But we have a tremendous number of other businesses, our airlines, our rental car companies, our concessions that are also at the airport, that are also in need of folks to do work for them. They have their own projects going on. And while we may not always be engaged directly with them, depending upon what they're doing, we have insight. You can't just come and build something at the airport without us approving it and saying so. And I think we can be very helpful in that regard and are helpful in that regard as we go forward. When we talk about the projects, one project, and the good commissioner knows this when we talk about sizing, we intend on building an intermodal center right off the edge of the airport. It's already been approved by the feds. We're gathering all the resources to do it now. That one project in today's dollars is estimated to be $855 million worth of work. It's going to take us probably 6 to 7 years to construct it. We have another project, an automated people mover. If you travel through Dallas, Atlanta, many other major airports, the way you get back and forth through garages and to parking facilities and whatnot, rental car facilities, is through automated passenger movement. Tampa, Orlando, Miami, the other large airports in the state of Florida have had automated passenger movement since 1970. And we don't have it here in Fort Lauderdale, but we're going to put it in. That project alone is over $800 million. When you start putting these things together, it's a massive amount of construction that needs to take place. And as we said before, it needs a team of individuals to make it work. Otherwise, it will fail. As we get closer and closer to pushing these solicitations out on the street, you may see some stuff coming out from us as early as the beginning or first quarter or so, second quarter of next year. We hope to put some industry days together where everybody can get not only more insight to what the projects are and what exactly they will entail, but use as an opportunity to partner and joint venture, if you will, with others that are going to be engaged in the process. They're so big sometimes, and to the point you have to break it down because it's beyond any single entity's capacity to do it alone. We're going to need great teams together, and I dare say that a lot of you in the room can and should be part of a success that we think is going to come our way. So.
And not only have they all met Mr. Sandy McDonald, Mr. McDonald and Ms. Mills have worked closely together to have some reciprocity for certification between the organizations. So although the school district does not have a DBE program, we do have small, we do have minority, we have women-owned, veteran-owned. So we are working closely, as you can tell, and collaborating with our partners in the county. And we want to thank Commissioner Rogers for also making sure that we all collaborate and keep that line of communication open. Joseph, how are emerging technologies being implemented at Port Everglades, and what transformative impact are they having on port operations and the broader business community?
So the first speaker tonight, I think, is probably the prime new technology or emerging technology that we're looking to integrate in how we do things. And I think, as Stephanie mentioned, it's not being 100% reliant upon it, right? It's in our eyes, we see that as a means of getting a jump start on something, right? Sometimes the toughest part is indeed getting started. So being able to use generative AI to help us get started and still put people behind, whether it's fact checking or validating with real-world data that we have available also in the port complex to ensure that we've got good information that we're using to make decisions. And that is all in the effort of becoming more efficient and improving the impact that we have on local businesses, on our port users, which range from truck drivers and cruise lines to the 11,000 people that have direct jobs as a result of the port being open and active. Mark talked about economic impact. He talked about these significant infrastructure projects, but I don't know how many folks are involved in your businesses that are about services, right? And being able to link in with some other businesses here locally. I think that's an opportunity where the OESBD that we've already given Sandy Michael McDonald his shout outs, but his team does a great job, I think, in connecting businesses of different background, of different size, of different scope, to be able to get them to partner together and provide learning opportunities, growth opportunities, and get you connected with opportunities that, again, I mentioned the diverse business lines and business activity that we have at the port. And we've got our share of these, the infrastructure projects that are going on. But services are a big piece of what we do as well, and anything in the hospitality industry, of course, is going to be dependent on that. I think another emerging technology that is getting a lot of play and a lot of attention, and we were fortunate also to receive a federal grant recently to the tune of $53.3 million that is going to go towards emissions reductions, right? So clean air programs is really important in our port community. We neighbor communities where there are residents that live their daily lives there, and we recognize the beautiful port that we have, not just from its economic impact, but also really the aesthetics of it, and making sure that we've got equipment that is running 24 hours a day that is emissions friendly. That's an opportunity, I think, for a lot of businesses to advocate for that in how you operate, as well as maybe contribute to the various facilities and businesses that are operating inside the port as well.
Thank you. Ms. Paul, how does your department, or your departments, plural, because she has so many, engage with community to ensure inclusivity in its vendor selection process, and what resources are available for minority, small, disadvantaged, certified businesses?
So that would be your department, but the reality is that if you invest money in a mutual fund, the first thing that your financial advisor tells you is that we need to diversify, right? It's no different in running a school district and building schools and renovating schools. You need diversity. You need the MWBEs, the SBEs, the veterans, the women. You need all of that, and I can't stress that enough to be successful. And so we need to do more work on this. And I am committed. I've worked with several outstanding people that have done really great work in this area. And that has to be a concentration and a focus for our district going forward. The thing that I've learned, and I've been here 6 months, is that small businesses, they don't have the resources and the knowledge to understand how to navigate doing business with a government entity, right? And so education, training, collaboration, community engagement is the key to improve that gap. And so I have my staff really focused on improving that. And I, hold ourselves accountable to achieve that. we have so many commodities that we need help in. And understanding how to get certified and how to compete for that work is so very important to our school district. Not only to you as a small business, but to us as a school district and having a successful capital program. So it goes beyond just having a bond program, because bonds come every now and again, but a capital program continues throughout. And so we need to identify those areas to you so that you can build the capacity and compete for that work. There are so many spots where we struggle to get vendors and contractors in to help us. And so it is a partnership. One of the things that we need to look at and put more emphasis on is joint ventures, or partnering with larger firms, small businesses partnering with larger firms and competing for work together. You know, I learned a lot in my time. We had a bond, over $1 billion bond in Dallas, and we would not have been successful if we didn't have those joint ventures, those partnerships with major firms and smaller firms, and learning from that. And I cannot emphasize how important it is to pay you guys on time. You know, that is a key, because that helps you grow, and that helps you hire and be competitive in the sub-market and the sub-market. And so we have put laser focus on that. We as a district definitely need to improve on that, but you can't recruit good people if they don't know if they're going to get paid on time, right? And many of our workers live paycheck to paycheck. And so as we dissect the great things about this bond program that happened, we're also dissecting the issues that were challenging for us throughout it. And so I have been to many meetings with contractors and subcontractors to understand how we can get better. Our schools are going to be here. We're going to build new schools for the next 100 years. And so we need to do it right. And having competitive, focused small businesses will help us achieve that success. I am convinced of that. I have seen it. I challenge you to get certified through this program. I'll try to be here when you get your certificates, and we're going to help you be competitive, and we're going to listen to you. But the converse is true too. When you do business with us, you need to deliver on your promises. I'm old-fashioned in that respect. My word is my bond. I expect your word to be yours. So if you say you want to partner with us and you bid for this contract and you do this contract, we're in it together and we're going to be successful. So if you come into it with that mindset, I have seen businesses grow over the years that started out with 2 and 3 people and are thriving. And so we're going to help you build your foundation for a successful business. Because your success, and I know it sounds kind of a pat phrase, but your success is our success. So I'll get to know y'all a little bit better. Ms. Andreu and Ms. Mincy Mills will give you the recipe and the cookbook. And when it's time for you to cook, we expect you to cook. Thank you.
Thank you. And let me tell you, Ms. Paula is being modest, because when she talks about that prompt payment and ensuring the vendors are being paid, she just helped our department approve unanimously our revised policy, a new policy really, to use the P card with the school board. So we saw that purchase orders were taking, a longer period of time. So now all of our departments, all of our schools, they can utilize more effectively for smaller purchases, the P card, and even use it now for travel. So if you're in that industry, that's going to be huge for you, because now you don't have to wait. They'll be able to book those flights, those hotels, if you're a bus operator here in the audience. So our staff has been approved for that. So these are just some of the changes that, because of the leadership of Ms. Paul, that we're making at the school district. Mark, final question. How can businesses collaborate with the aviation sector to enhance travel and logistics while supporting community development initiatives? And it's a two-parter. Are there specific partnership models or programs that have been particularly successful?
Before I answer that, I just want to go back to Ms. Paul's answer on the issue of cash flow and what ultimately, in many cases, proves to be the success or failure of a lot of small businesses when they get involved in different projects, is the failure of the prime or the larger contractor not to pay or pay on time. Nothing can be more frustrating. It irks me to no end when we get the phone calls and says, I didn't get paid, and we look into it and we see the prime contractor got paid, and why did the sub not get paid? And many times it's a small business, it's a disadvantaged business, and I think we have to do a much better job of, in my humble opinion, penalizing the larger companies that don't actually act on that accordingly, because it does mean the success or failure of not only a business thriving or failing, but then a good business being able to graduate, get bigger, and start to develop that generational wealth that we want to see happen. So with respect to how we interact with a lot of different things, and Joe talked about it, our previous speaker talked about it, Wanda talked about those folks that worked for 30 years that need to go home now. Want to go home. Need to, want to. Sometimes it's both for me. I'm 40 years in this business. I have a grandson who just started his freshman year in college. He's up at Hampton University, and he decided he was going to take up aviation and follow his old pop. And he said he's unclear about what he should take. And so he decided it's aviation, but I don't know whether I fly, I want to do this, I want to do this. And I said, we talked about AI and where we're going with AI, and I've said this to a couple different audiences. I said, if you focus in on anything on the aviation side that touches or skirts around the issues of AI, I think you're going to be fine, because I think we're really going to be immersed in that world for all the days to come. And while we all think about how good and wonderful all the different aspects of AI and chatbots and all the different things they can do for us, I am that one guy in the corner waving his hand saying, for every good thing that it can do for us, there's somebody on the other side trying to think of bad things to do. Any Terminator fans in the audience? I know it's an old movie. You all don't have to raise your hand, but yeah, I'm the guy that believes that Skynet will actually come to fruition. I don't think Arnold Schwarzenegger is going to beam down here as a big old naked man, but I do think there are concerns, and there's just as much opportunity for good as there is for nefarious or evil activity. So we spend a lot of time working on not only how do we make things better and integrate into the community, but how do we also protect and defend ourselves. And I think in services, and as Joe had mentioned, service-oriented organizations, we spend an inordinate amount of time in our world now on cybersecurity issues, and I think there's going to be great opportunities as we go forward. Every single thing that we touch that has a wire, or now wireless, if it touches the internet in any way, shape, or form, it's a vulnerability, and we have to protect against it. On the project side, how we integrate with communities, I'm really proud of some of the things that we're doing. We work with our economic development partner for the county, the Alliance. One of the biggest industries in South Florida. We are number one. Florida is number one in the nation when it comes to aviation maintenance, repair, and overhaul activities. So many different companies have taken an opportunity to move into South Florida. We think about those that are creating aircraft, Boeing, Airbus. Somebody's got to make those parts. Somebody's got to work on those airplanes. Somebody's got to keep them flying. Somebody's got to do all the different things that once it leaves the factory, people aren't thinking about. And there are dozens and dozens of companies and more that are moving in each and every. New company just was announced the other day. Mayor Furr quoted a company called VSE. Again, aircraft manufacturing parts. Businesses are relocating into Broward County, and I think that's providing great opportunity for jobs. It's providing opportunity for different types of entities, contractors and suppliers and professional services to engage with them as we go forward. When we think about our intermodal center that I mentioned, the intermodal center, think about it as a huge nexus. It's, it's going to have 7,000 spaces for cars to park, but it's going to be the airport's connection to the seaport. It's going to be the airport's connection to the seaport and the convention center. It's going to be the connection to ultimately what we believe will be commuter rail. Commuter rail connecting parts of Broward in a way through mass transit to get to places where they haven't been able to get easily if they didn't have a personal vehicle to travel on. That intermodal center, I think, is going to be a game changer in a lot of different ways. And I think we might see a little bit of a secular shift on how folks get around. We're proud of what we're going to make happen in that regard to provide for some level of seamless transportation to make it better. And at the same time, hopefully clean the environment too. Reduce our carbon footprint and get folks moving from point A to point B in a quicker fashion. We live in an environment here where folks have been engaged in some of these types of projects, light rail projects, the automated passenger mover projects, other projects, surface transportation projects. And we haven't done a lot of that, I don't think, here locally. I come from a big urban area. I am that Philadelphia Eagles guy against the Dallas Cowboys. Mass transit is a way of life. It's how we move around in many respects up there. I think we have a lot of catch-up to do, but hopefully through new technologies, a lot of great, smart folks, I think we're actually going to make it better than ever. Doesn't happen overnight. It's going to get handed off to the next generation. As long as Joe and I are here running airport and seaport and reporting to Commissioner Rogers and others, whoever follows in our footsteps, these projects are so big and so complex, they take sometimes decades to get done. The main thing is we keep at it and we don't let our foot off the proverbial gas pedal, and we get it done. But again, I would just close that everybody has a role. Everybody in this room who owns a business, who wants to own a business, who's looking to get into a particular line of work, whether you're a contractor or an architect, you're providing a service, everybody's going to have to rally around in order to get some of these really big projects moving in the right direction.
Thank you. And we have so many young people here in the audience that I hope they're really paying attention when we talk about those future jobs and cybersecurity. So it always does my heart well to see our business owners bring their children with them to these functions. Joe, last question for you. What opportunities exist for businesses to engage with Port Everglades in supporting community development? And can you share some successful partnerships that have positively impacted our local community?
Indeed. And one thing I'll say before I get into maybe an example is that, we don't know everything at the port, but having dialogue with our community, our business community, maybe leads to new opportunities that we haven't thought of. So if you've got ideas, don't hold back. And I think as I looked at your 6-week program, I know last week there was actually the topic that you're talking about quite a bit is how to navigate that world of getting paid quickly. But through this, I hope you've been able to create a network of your own. And I think the businesses that exist at the port, we've got great associations, whether they're chamber groups. Mark mentioned a group called the Alliance. There's also something called the Broward Workshop. We've got the various city chambers of commerce that are probably great resources for you folks to tap into. And there's even an association called the Port Everglades Association that is a makeup of businesses that have an interest in the activities at the port, whether that's construction, whether that's services, whether that's operating and moving goods through. So there's a ton, I think, of resources out there and available. If I can share an example, it maybe goes away from the tangible things and into something that I hope you all don't take for granted, which is regardless of what industry you're in, regardless of what business you're in, at the end of the day, it's about your people. And we are really excited at the port that we, actually just yesterday, we celebrated our 1-year anniversary having Disney Cruise Line in the port. They had a remarkable first year. We've already announced that they'll be bringing an additional ship to the port next year when it gets out of the shipyard being made in Europe right now. But in partnership with them and also as a standalone, we've actually brought them into this activity that the port has been doing before I arrived 4 months ago and for a few years, is connecting with, as an example, Junior Achievement of South Florida, right? Reaching out to the youth to let them know about this somewhat invisible industry called maritime, called shipping, called logistics, and even on the cruise, right? So, you know, even though we're a port and there's a lot of waterborne businesses, whether that's operating tugboats or providing services and stores or removing waste from the ships, the cruise ships are in, you know, they're floating cities at sometimes. So there's a lot that goes into making the port function and making these businesses that have an impact on our region function. So we're educating the youth about those opportunities, whether that's a life at sea or a life ashore, you know, on shore, making an impact and being connected to the maritime and to the port industry. And so we do that actually a couple times a year. We'll bring busloads of Junior Achievement members and show them our little world that I know during COVID times, everybody became a logistics expert at the dinner table talking about lack of toilet paper and other important things. But it is still, you know, it's a significant and massive global industry. And I've been blessed to be able to see the world through the work that I've done and what I've been exposed to. And I know our team, we have some folks that have international experience as well. But now that we're here, we're local, we want to make an impact on the youth that's here. So we're happy to partner with Junior Achievement, and that's just one example of an impact we like to make. And if there's any inspiration out there, we'll be happy to talk afterwards.
You might not even be aware, but your longshoremen work with us directly. I mean, with Business Support Center. I have Sheena Newton here, and we do a wonderful outreach to some of our students in need during the holidays, and they actually show up and deliver toys and clothes and
See, like I said, we don't know everything.
They
That's
do.
great awareness. I know I'm relatively new. In fact, I was texting with Johnny Dixon just before I came into the building here tonight. And yeah, another opportunity that provides, I think, great education. I know Johnny and his team do great work.
Great work. So thank you on behalf of the Business Support Center and Operations. Ms. Paul, we're going to wrap this up with you. How does efficient facility management contribute to Broward County Public Schools' success, and what role can our vendors or contractors play in achieving the efficiency?
So first of all, how many of you pay taxes? It is our responsibility to make sure that we use those tax dollars correctly, efficiently, and effectively. And so I'm a old Army person, well, not old, but I guess old is relative. Experienced, thank you. Experienced Army person. And so part of that training and part of the leading that I did while I was in the Army is making sure that you take care of people and you take care of the mission. It's no different in working in a school district. You take care of the people, and the people will take care of the mission. And so making sure that we are making good decisions, making sure that we are engaged with the community and understanding what the community needs are. They hold us accountable and should hold us accountable. We don't exist just to exist. We exist to serve. And so part of that is making sure, one of the things that I'm working with my team on is creating a robust plan for when we get rid of old buses. You've seen our buses on the road. Quite honestly, in all the years of my experience, I've never seen a 6-digit bus number. And so I'm still trying to understand why a bus has 6 digits. And so, making sure that we keep our fleet updated, making sure that we take care of our buildings responsibly, much like you take care of your house. So, a school is similar to a house. You got to change the roof or replace the roof, replace the air conditioning, check on the electrical, just all of those things that you do to take care of your house properly. We have to have the same care and the same attitude in taking care of our schools. And some of our schools, as you know, are better than others in terms of how they look and how the structure is. So we have to make sure that we provide equitable facilities across Fort Lauderdale schools, Broward County schools. We should not compromise on that. And so how do we do it efficiently, effectively? A lot of it deals with data, making sure that we are having metrics in how we take care of our building, the age of our building, the age of our systems, making sure we do those things that we would do in our house. Make sure we clean our schools. We clean our houses every day. We got to clean our schools every day. Making sure that we don't have any kind of safety-related issues in our schools, the same as we do in our house. One of the things that we're doing is putting monoxide detectors in our schools. It's a silent killer. And so we are working on that project and making sure we do that with fidelity. So when I look at I love schools. I absolutely love schools. I love building new schools. I love the look on a child's eyes when they walk into the school for the first time. And it's so big, and over the years it becomes so small because the child grows. And I look at that as a personal mission of mine, and I need the same dedication and demand the same dedication for the people that work with me. And so as we go forward, we're going to make sure that we take care of our kids, because our kids are our future, without a doubt. And I know some of you saying that, these kids are a little different, but they said the same thing about us. And so it's a wonderful responsibility that I feel I have to provide to our students and to our teachers. And so y'all are going to help me do that, because you're going to get certified. You're going to find out what your place is in terms of competing for this work. And when we start the new bond, you're going to be right there with me. And it's going to happen. So I need y'all to don't be afraid. Don't be scared to jump out there. Businesses, the reason you have these major firms is because they started like you. Some of them started just like you. Some of the minority firms started just like you. Some of the women-owned firms started just like you. When I got to Broward, I met my first woman electrician. And it was amazing, because, I saw her working, and she didn't remember that I met her. Why? Because she was working. Right, and so we need women electricians. We need, we have so many needs in our district, and y'all are going to help us do that. And so when you get your certification and when you get your first contract with the district, I want you to come and find me, because I'm going to take a picture with you. That is success, when we can partner with y'all to help us educate our kids. And so I don't play around with this. I'm serious about it. When you get your certification and you bid and get your first contract, matter of fact, I'll take you to lunch. So Hashtag by Broward, hashtag by Broward. And y'all just tell me how big the room needs to be, okay? How big the restaurant needs to be. So I thank you for coming here. This is not easy work. I'm not trying to to minimize the commitment that you have to have in this work, but it's good work, it's honorable work, and we need people to do it for our kids.
And Ms. Paul is serious because we already have right now a sheltered market out for pressure cleaning. So I don't see my one pressure cleaner. Oh, okay, there's another one. I don't see the gentleman here, but so right now there's an oh, he's here. See, they all know. Oh, there you are. Yep. So,
we need people to cut grass.
Yep.
We need, like I said, we're running a city here. And for whatever reason, people have been scared to do business with us. You do the work, we're going to pay you. Okay? If we don't pay you, you come see me. We need you. Our kids need you. I cannot overemphasize that. Whatever happened in the past is the past. This is the new Broward, and we're moving forward.
Thank you all so much. Mark, Joseph, Ms. Paul, thank you all for joining us this evening. I think we have time for maybe just one or two questions. So Ms. Diana is going to be walking around with the microphone to take any questions that you have for any of us. And again, I'm expecting to see some brand new vendors getting awarded in the next few months, and I hope you all invite me when Ms. Paul takes us all to Eddie V's. So Eddie V's, yeah, we're not going to McDonald's, we're going Eddie V's.
She's going to make me work a couple of more years. So.
First of all, thank you very much to you guys to make us understand how to make business with you. I think from all of us trying to get on board with my company. My questions are the following, okay? We're a technology company, and many of the bids, we receive bids sometimes that they don't know that we exist, or that new technology actually exists, or that we actually advance, and we partner up with these larger firms that can bring safety, they can bring advances, analytics, and many other things to all the different areas. So at the beginning, a long time ago, I know that we had to wait for the bid. The bid is not there, it's not reaching there. How can I try to make a presentation, or any one of us can make a presentation of what we have, that we believe that will be super advanced and maybe makes your life even cheaper and faster? That's the main. Second question that I have, there are prime vendors already making or doing business with you guys. And we are like a subcontractor probably for them. How do we know that that vendor can subcontract us, and how do we make contact with them if that's the case? Thank you so much.
I will tell you from the school district standpoint, we do a lot of matchmaking events, again, out of Ms. Mills' office, and Diana's usually the person who's organizing with the entire team, because I think you've met the entire staff from EDDC here over the last couple of weeks. But that is exactly how you can meet some of the prime vendors, and we do them virtually, we do them in person, and that allows you to meet the prime vendors, some of the bigger name companies, and subcontract with them and let them know about your products and your offerings. So that definitely take advantage of all of those matchmaker events that you see hosted, and I hope you're all following us on social media. I know that Diana has told you all of our different formats and platforms, so make sure you're following us so that you receive that information timely. So that's the best way to do that. It's a little bit difficult sometimes to submit unsolicited proposals, but that's another avenue. I always tell the vendors to register as lobbyists before having any of those conversations. It is free to become a lobbyist with Broward County Public Schools, but before you have conversations with Ms. Paul and her colleagues at that chief level, with any school board members, you want to make sure that you are a registered lobbyist first.
Yeah, go ahead, and I'll pick up on that too.
So for maybe speaking for Mark and myself, From the Broward County perspective, we've got the Office of Economic Small Business Development. So we've mentioned the name Sandy Michael McDonald. Make sure you know that name. He and his team love to connect with the small business community, love to help them, blossom, to bloom and grow and get those opportunities out there. There are workshops, there are seminars, and if you've got an idea where there's, an opportunity to create an outreach program, they might have something that's on paper that just needs a little bit of nourishment to get out there. So on our county website, you should be able to find the Office of Economic Small Business Development. Reach out to them, get connected. This is what they live for, to help you all succeed.
Thanks, Joe. And I was going to mention the county's website as well. On the technology side, just so Joe and I, running the organizations that we run, we're what the county refers to as enterprise funds. So that means we run our businesses like a business, and we don't take any of the general taxpayer funds from Broward County. We operate our businesses on the revenues that we generate at our facilities. But even though we operate almost independently, if you will, as a business, we're still part of Broward County government. We still have to report up to the mothership, if you will. So my information technology group, 24/7 operation, think the world of them. They're the sharpest and brightest people that I know. We still have to work with the county's enterprise technology services, and a lot of the contracts that we have to gain access to are bid through the county. Sometimes it's such a specialized service, though, maybe it's unique in my case to aviation. You would contact us and say, hey, I want to tell you about a product. If I didn't sit down with you, my director of information technology would sit down with you and see what, and then maybe she needs to make a pitch to our county government to see we need this, or maybe you're a sole source, nobody else can do what you're doing. Relative to the partnering, and I talked to Sandy about this a lot. My previous home, as I said, up in Philadelphia, one of the things that we would end up doing is what was referred to as EOFs, or Economic Opportunity Forums. We would set an entire day where we would have 500 individuals come in, and we, the airport, would give a presentation on everything that we had on our planning board, when it was going to, we thought it was going to come out, how much it was going to be, what type of services we were going to need. And then the rest of the day was all about networking. We had companies of every single size in there, and we helped facilitate and connect people, one-on-one. We had training classes on bonding and capacity issues. We had training classes on how to go get certified. So Sandy and I have been talking about that. Some of the stuff that we both are looking to do in the future, we know that even though Sandy does a great job of doing this within the county and working with all his different partners, some of our projects are going to be so large and so unique, we're going to have to do some of these economic opportunity forum types events in order to get all of you hooked together, and then teams start to form right before your eyes, and we hope to see that obviously materialize in the coming days. So, okay, hope you answered the question.
Okay, thank you. This is the last question. Go ahead. Again, my name is Sherry Rudolph, and two things. Number one is thank you, Ms. Paul, for taking the leadership to get the vendors paid. Because I've also been a victim of not being paid for months. And so I'm just really happy to see that, that the school board is taking a different direction and moving towards helping small businesses to get paid. Secondly of all, I do post-construction cleaning, final cleaning, and I'd like to know how can I navigate into learning who I can speak to in terms of the construction contractors that work with the school, that work directly with the schools. I have worked for one, but I'd like to, definitely work for more, particularly since now I can get paid.
So I told you that, I love new buildings, building new buildings and renovating buildings, and you're kind of like my favorite person for the construction clean. I'm very particular about how a building should look after construction, and so you can work through Ms. Andreu and Ms. Mincy Mills to try to navigate that, because we definitely need, as I said before, we have a lot of needs, but Particularly, you know, we have construction going on across the district, and there is opportunity. So what you're asking me is how does that equate to a paycheck? And so they'll help you navigate that. And really, that's why you're here. You're asking, okay, so I have this great idea. I want to do business with the district. How does it materialize? How does it come to fruition? Some of this, obviously, being new here, I have to break the code, right? I have to break the secret code. But I know, based on what I've seen thus far, is we have a lot of needs, and we'll have a lot of needs in the future. So it's not just about the bond program, it's about running a city and how do we keep that city running.
And are you in the directory? Have you seen our directory? If you're not in it, that means you're going to get certified, so you're in the second iteration of the directory. But I would recommend, if you don't have one, take one with you this evening. All of the contractors that we currently use, they're in here. A lot of them have advertisements in here. So take one with you. They're listed alphabetically. We tried to make it very easy to use for you, so to navigate. And I know that there are several more questions, but I think we are out of time. But that's okay, because a lot of people will be able to stay after, and again, we'll be at graduation, and you know how to reach all of us. We're going to give you our contact information, so if you have more questions after, feel free. We're always available. The door is always open. And we are, again, so glad that you thought this was a good use of your time to build your business. To our panelists, thank you, thank you, thank you. We have just a small token of appreciation for you.
Let's give them a rounding applause. It was an awesome session. So we have some certificates of our appreciation. If you would come forward and accept them. Ms. Andreu, you get one. Center. Mark Gale. Thank you, Mark, right there. Joseph Morris. And of course, the big boss, Ms. Wonderful. You would come